For Laura to stand up and get 100, not just in the semi-final, but the final, also just shows not only her ability as a player, but as a captain leading from the front.
I think she's unbelievable. I've worked with a lot of good cricketers, great cricketers in my life, and I think she ranks right up there. And I think over the last 18 months I've been blessed to have front row seats of her playing some incredible knocks, and those last two I think rank up right up there. I think that 150 odd in the semi-final against England, I think that's close to perfection.
For me to be sitting here with 2 medals, silver medals, World Cup medals, I think it's an unbelievable story. Again, where I was born, where I come from, to saying not even 25 years later you're coaching as professionals or even the national side. It's again unheard of.
Let's face it, life is complicated, and so is the YouTube algorithm. We put so much effort into each of these episodes, and I honestly love what I do. And if you could do the smallest favor for me, it'll be quicker than making a cup of coffee. Just hit that subscribe button or like and follow on the audio channels. Thank you so much. So Bongs, what was the mindset in the camp leading up to the World Cup final this year?
Sure. Yeah, I think, as I said, I think you just taking me back to a tough moment for us, but maybe one to be proud of. We spoke a little bit about just keeping things a little bit simple, being present, being up for the fight, and just remembering why we do certain things. I think a lot of it, that's a big moment for anyone, and we just made the girls just realize, remember where your feet are. Spoke a little bit about even the physical contact, because we knew there was going to be a lot of people out there. So we spoke about if you get out there and you find yourself in a frenzy, just make sure there's a lot of physical contact, just so that you can get the people out of there on their heads. So yeah.
And a team like India, who's so used to playing in a World Cup final, obviously we needed to get our mindset ready for that final. But I think we've been seeing, 2023, we were in the T20 World Cup final, 2024, same thing, and then this year, World Cup final. Do you think that the girls are getting more used to being in those high pressure moments?
Yeah, I think it goes without saying. I think, yeah, it is. I think if you had to ask me if I'd take one win of those, yeah, definitely, any one of them, but the biggest takeaway for me has just been around how the senior players have stood up. When you found Laura has been in the final with Chloe for the 100 side, the Southern Brave side, Chloe with Nadine for the Mumbai side, So all of that has been brought back into the camp. I think the coaches kind of like build an environment where the players share a lot of experiences. So although we had never been, we were already in that moment because of what the players had already experienced.
And for Laura to stand up and get 100, not just in the semi-final, but the final, also just shows not only her ability as a player, but as a captain leading from the front.
I think she's unbelievable. I've worked with a lot of good cricketers, great cricketers in my life, and I think she ranks right up there, and I think over the last 18 months I've been blessed to have front row seats of her playing some incredible knocks, and those last two I think rank up right up there. I think that 150 odd in the semi-final against England, I think that's close to perfection. And there's someone who was driven, someone who was in a zone, and everything just looked easy in and around her. I think the only thing I can chirp her about is I think her ratio of winning tosses. I don't think she wins a lot of tosses, and yeah, but I think she's been incredible for the side. And if you look at our team, I only say the team takes the persona of its leader, man. You start looking at how the girls are starting to go about, how we're starting to play in big moments, starting to show a little bit more calm. We started to show a little bit more calculated stuff in the big moments, and that's kudos to her. And I think the team is starting to replicate that type of characteristics.
And there were quite a few people who also fed off that energy throughout the tournament. I mean, Nadine de Klerk when we were almost out of it in one of the group stage matches. I mean, she stood up and got 80 odd or something at the back of the innings. And I think it's just showing that, the girls are starting to believe in themselves more than ever before.
Absolutely. I think you've put a nail on it nicely there. And it's something that I've always tried to encourage girls, even in those small passage chats, that everyone gets an opportunity, to do something great for the team. And it's your day. It's supposed to be your time now to go off there and really try and bring the team towards your stronger position, and going back to Nadine's innings, I think again, the crowd is undercharged for that. I think that's box office stuff. That's stuff that you dream about. Stuff that you as a cricketer you want to live for. You young cricketers dreaming about playing a game of cricket. Those are the moments that you really want to shine and you really want to show your mental. And she showed that. Again, calmness personified, but grit. You could see that everything is calculated again, and just the confidence. I think for me that was the biggest thing. I mean, if we had won the game with a lot of ones and twos, I would say maybe a lot more reserved. But you think about the amount of maximums that she hit, that's the amount of risk, trust that she had that she was still going to execute. So for me, that innings doesn't get the amount of glory that it deserves, because again she needed to know that I still need to clear the boundary, I still need to do this, and within that know that the scoreboard, I mean to go off and say we're 100 behind when you're going in there, you're betting at 8, and to still win the game for your country must be probably one of the biggest moments in cricketing careers yourself.
South Africans, in my opinion, are just becoming so good at that comeback. I think we've got that grit almost. How they say, no DNA, just RSA. I think you're starting to see it it used to be like just rugby for a stage, and now it's feeding off into so many different sports and so many things that South Africans do.
Yeah, like I think again, your eyes are not deceiving you, mate. I think you're really on point there. The resilience that these girls have shown, and again, it's just got to do with the path. If you look at the stories that are in the change room, it reciprocates why the type of performances that they've put up. I think our challenge now over the next bit will be to be the team that throws the first punch. I think we've been very good at coming back from punches and from being out. I think that's the next challenge now. The next growth point for us as a team is to be able to throw that first punch. I think we saw glimpses of it against England. And I do say again, if we play like that, I think we'll be a real force in women's cricket.
And I know now it's quite fresh off the final.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what was the energy like after that final? And how did you reconcile some of the players after that loss?
It is still a little bit of a blur. If you go back to that moment, it is a little bit of a blur. But just thinking back, maybe just vivid memories or even pictures. I do remember a couple of girls were really broken. I mean, I think mostly would be the senior ones, that probably feel like that could have easily been their last World Cup, But again, in and around that, I could see a little bit again of hope, in a lot of them, in the conversations in and around as you can't actually do this. We're not that far off, And then, just the post-match chats. I think we just really focused on our road leading up to that. We really zoned in on the achievements and the processes that we had achieved from now. And then coach again highlighted how proud he was in terms of particularly of the girls and how they carried themselves and how proud everyone was back at home. I think even chatting about it now to get a little bit of lump in my throat, because there's really a great opportunity there for us to rewrite history and also maybe just move cricket South Africa and South African cricket in a different bracket. And I do think we play a lot of good cricket, we've done a lot of good, but maybe we haven't really received as South African cricket kudos that we've deserved, because we probably haven't won any of those big moments.
And I think you even see it with the commentary sometimes. We often viewed as the underdog.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe we somehow thrive off that label. We don't like it when people put us in a box as South Africans and tell us who we are.
Oh, no, I think like you, you think a small little, nerve there. I think a couple of times, even in the World Cup, on commentary, I did feel that we did get a few jabs in between there, and in terms of what they perceive of our side, and it just goes off to show again that again, if for any South African, if you put us against the wall, I think we know how to fight. We know how to really push back. But now the catch, as I've just said, now is just to be able to throw that first punch. I look at Rikus, and that's probably where we want to be. We want to be with Rikus. We want to be the ones that are maybe throwing punches, knocking the sides out. We've had our moments where we've been against the wall. I think we're changing that narrative a little bit now and being the team that wants to play from the top.
And a loss is always a tough pill to swallow, especially on such a big stage like a World Cup final. But there's a lot of positives that I think, we can take from this World Cup. I mean, I've never seen in my life so many people that were behind the team and supporting women's cricket. I think in a lot of different sports, it's always the men's rugby team, the men's this, the men's that, and the women don't really get the attention that they deserve.
Yeah, I think I'll just turn it personally to myself. I think after the England game, I don't think I received so many WhatsApp messages of congratulations, this and that. And there's a lot of people that I don't even know who followed in this cricket, and that just goes off to show how much sport can unite the country, and also just shows the wins that we've had as well, just as the women's team, and yeah, I think leading up as well there, we did speak a lot about winning the World Cup, and I think it is big, but maybe in this chapter it was about winning with the country, winning with the people, and I think maybe our victories were in a different way at the moment, but yeah, as you say, the support, incredible, unbelievable, I've got 3 girls at home and a wife that are big critics, in terms of why not this, why not that, why not, but to see them every single day, whenever we played in their Protea shirts, going to school, to work, it was really unreal. I think apart from the first game where everyone was probably trying to get ready for the game, and by the time we switched on, the game was done already. I think apart from that moment, it was a good real reflection of where we are as a country and as cricket South Africa.
What do you think the future's like for South African cricket, particularly with women's cricket?
Exciting. I think exciting. We've obviously, I think 2-3 years ago, we launched our Hollywood Bets Women's Professional League. It's now, I think, in its 3rd year, and I'm really excited in the product that's coming there. I've been privileged to watch a few of those cricketers come through. And the under-19s making a final. So I think there's a lot of good coming our way. We've got Coach Denisha, she's been in charge of our academy side and under 19. She's also again incredible in identifying talent, developing talent. So I think by the time the girls come up to our stage, 95% of the work is done. It's just now about getting them to really try and compete on a high performance level. Yeah. So being able to have this professional league, I think is really helping us start to compete with the big 3. The big 3 have the WPL, the hundreds, the Big Bash. At the moment, we're still starting off with that Hollywood Spets, and I think it goes a long way. I think we can be excited because I do feel these ladies will be right.
Let's talk about your story for a second. So, before you had a World Cup final, how did it start out for you?
Oh, Mikey. Yeah, as I said, I think my person who probably sits every now and then and reflects. I'm not a person who sits a lot and can really tell you where I've been, in detail. But just thinking back where I was 5 years ago, where I was 10 years ago, for me to be sitting here with
2 medals, silver medals, World Cup medals. I think it's an unbelievable story, you know. Again, where I was born, where I come from, to saying not even 25 years later, you're coaching as professionals or even the national side. It's again unheard of, you know. So yeah, I think my story is one that I think it's maybe built upon small victories, you know, but lots and lots of hard work. You know, I pride myself in my work ethic. I think there's no substitute for work, the working hard. I think that's the number one thing. All of us can have that talent. Yeah, all of us can have that, you know, open opportunities, but the one who's willing to really work hard at it and really try and master it is the one that I feel that's successful. You know, so I look at my story. That's probably the biggest highlight around it. You know, I've been in a lot of privileged environments, been around some big people, if you could say that. You were some mentors, you know, and I've chosen to humble myself and just learn, you know, and that's probably one attribute, if I could say, or superpower that I could give to, ask to give to any coach or any youngster. It's not just the humility, but the ability to listen. Yeah, I think, and that's a lot of us don't listen to really understand. We listen to answer, but where I've kind of been forced to listen to understand, because just been blessed to have, like, really, for example, having a Jackalis in the chin. Last year, SA20 had Jonathan Trott. Well, in a couple of months' time, I'm going to have Saraf Genguli. In as much as I want to speak, I really can't. You know, I have to listen. You know, so I've been kind of privileged to in spaces where people have taken that extra second to speak, you know, and to really mentor and try and shape what little bit of rough diamond that they see.
So you mentioned to me previously that in 2010, the Champions League T20, you were dragging the bags.
Yeah, Mike. I was still at Saints by then. Wim Jansen got a hold of Dave Nosworthy, who's another director of cricket at St. David's, and he was the head coach back then. And again, as I said, I think it's being able to just have that 5 minutes, 10 minutes of quality chat, being able to sit in the change room, see how everything operates. You know, I was willing to do that. And the opportunity came through just to be a baggage master, you know, for the Lions side. And again, that Lions side had your Neil McKenzie's, Vaughan van Jaspelt. And again, guess who was our team mentor at that time? We had Kepler Wessels. So think about that again. Here's a young pup from Masakeng, where he's played probably about 10 games of cricket in his life, and he's going off to go do that with the Lions. And I mean, it was also an unbelievable time. I tell you, from that time, I also got a nice mullah to actually put as a, if I don't know if you would know that in my culture, you obviously go off and you pay a little bit on the bola, you know, so that my lobola money came from that. So cricket is giving me wife as well. So that's how much chankur was there, chap. It was not too bad. It was not too bad. So in much as I got the baggage master title, I got that experience, and I got a wife out.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so don't tell people to be baggage master.
And if you look back at that moment when, you know, you were in the change room, like making sure the change room's good, making sure the bags were in the right place, did you ever think you would get to be part of a World Cup team?
I think as a child, you're encouraged to dream. You know, I think the dream was always there. And I just didn't think it was going to happen this quickly, you know. And again, even at that time, and having that opportunity to serve in the change room, I thought about doing it to the best of my ability, doing it the way that I would want the person, if they had to say, folks, you got a baggage master, how would you want them to operate? I tried to put myself in the coach's space and then try and say, okay, I would want, when I walk in, bags to be in the certain place, on certain place to, you know. So I would spend most of my time trying to study players. Oh, this one spends a lot of time with that one. This one spends time with that one. So whenever we play away, I try and maybe try and put these ones together, those ones together, try and build a little bit of synergy in and around. Because again, I recognize that in the high performance and high pressured environments, last thing that any coach is going to take care of or want to worry about is the smaller stuff. But those smaller stuff are the stuff that adds to the big wins or the big irritations, in the big time. So I kind of try to find my groove, find myself in between where I need to be. So yeah, to say that I'd see myself at a World Cup, probably, but did I see it now? No. Just the exposure again, the mentoring. I think my first book that I got was a bulk number book that's got all these batting and bowling stuff, which I'm probably only still on page 50, but the conversations in and around the cricket field, that's what's probably shaped me and made me actually want to have that desire to say, yeah, one day I want to sit on the hot seat and make those calls. I'm by no means ready. I think I'm probably about 4 or 5 years still out from big seat. Still enjoying myself on the skill set seat here, trying to upskill players. But yeah, at the moment, yeah, I'm pretty excited to say that I've done that at such a young age, but also just looking forward to say what can actually happen, what can come out of this. How many people are inspired from this story. It's also something that I live by to say, I've gotten the opportunity for somebody else to get inspired from it, so I should never take it for granted. So yeah, I think a lot of what I do is just about giving thanks to you. So at the moment, I'm really appreciating that I've done two, that I know there's a couple of big ones coming, and hopefully we will be having a different chat. I might have a different medal around my neck and hopefully a cup. Yeah.
Why coaching?
Oh, it's a good question. So okay, if I go back, now I can tell you where I come from every now and then. So my mom was a teacher, and she won the school's first district trophy as a soccer coach. So she's a lady as well, all about, what is it, trend setting, image breaking. So she probably was one of the first people that introduced me to coaching, inverted commas, because it was there at home. She'd come home stressed, saying, no, this one is not doing this one's not doing that. This is a teacher who's not telling me about kids not doing their homework. Instead, fighting about this one didn't come to practice, this one didn't do this. So that passion and that understanding for coaching started growing there. And then my dad also was a boxer back in his day. So a little bit of a critical thinker as well. So we're big Orlando Pirates supporters at home. So we'd sit around, watch that. My half brother would sit next to the TV. If Pirates concede a goal, we switch it off. So there's no one who watches. And then you'd go take a paper draw. This is what they need to be doing and this and that. So everything in and around from a very young age has been sports driven, But yeah, I think for me specifically, I can't really tell you, I think it's something that people say it's a calling, but for me, it's when your stuff is aligned towards giving back. Sports is and coaching is a tough place because it's all about giving. You hardly ever get much, and 2008 lost my dad, 2013 lost my mom. So even though I could play, started becoming a little bit more evident where you need to go now, so the biggest thing that I knew back then was coaching. And yeah, so got a sneaky call from Rem Jansen at Sisterians, and he said there's an opportunity, come in. Didn't flow as easy as, you can imagine, coming from local school there where there's no war cries, there's no old boys, there's no this and that, having to learn again. Great opportunity for me to mature, learn, and step up. So yeah, I think coaching came about differently for me to most people. Had an opportunity to play at the same time where people my age would have played. I had to start thinking about how am I going to help my sisters through school, my brothers through school, how am I going to provide. And the best way to know, or the best way I knew how to bring revenue in was coaching players. So, yeah, so that's how I find myself at the stadiums, and probably where I find myself now today.
I think sometimes you just need that one person who takes a chance on you. And sometimes they even see something in you that you don't see in yourself at the time. And now going back to, just cricket in general, how are you feeling? Because now you're going to be working with the Pretoria Capitals again in this next season of Betway SA20. How are you feeling?
I think there's a lot of gratitude on where I am. I mean, I'm thankful every day for the opportunities that I have, and again, if you script it and said to me, these are things that are going to happen, I probably can't say yes to that, but I've always felt that it takes someone to say a small yes, along the way. Someone needs to see certain things along the way for them to, or for you to get to that next level, and I probably can't mention all of them because I might miss a few, but there's been critical people at critical stages in my life that have probably seen something in me, and they've actually said, yes, let's take a chance on that. But that didn't also just come about of just nothing. I've had to show a little bit of desire, a little bit of humility, servant spirit, the ability to have shown that I've got the ability to work hard, to grow, to learn, and to be mentored, and I think that's the biggest part. I think a lot of stuff that happens today, it's people always looking to be at the top, always wanting, and it's very difficult to get the whole time if you're not giving, you need to sometimes make room for those bigger blessings.
And then you get there and you're still not 100% happy.
Absolutely. Then you fight for the next thing, yeah, so I mean, I'll say, for example, the SA20 movie, that's the one that I can say, like Cramford, he was a legendary coach. Never met him until the day before. You had to assemble for the first day of camp. But I've worked with a Curtis Camphor from St. Stephen's back in the day. I had encounters with a couple of players as well that had gone to Ireland, and they had a word to say, Coach, have a look at this. Like, if you're looking for someone, extra hands, local knowledge, a little bit of this, and someone who just put their head down and graft, And again, at that moment, his grandfather, he can call anyone across the world, anyone across South Africa. He's coached South Africa before, and he decided to take a chance on me and say, okay, let's have a go. I think we went on the first season and came second, and the rest is a little bit of history. I mean, he's constantly still sending me messages now. Even when we played Australia, we bombed out against Australia. He sent me a message. He say, just stay calm. I will go and do a little bit of digging on Alarmy King for you. And then I'll come back with a plan for you to set to the rest of everyone. And then after India knocked Australia out, he said, you don't have to worry about King. Sleep well, my boy, sleep well. So there's still constant engagement there. And yeah, I think it's now become like, no, it's not just a mentor thing, it's just become a livelihood thing. I throw stuff past him, he throws stuff past me as well. And yeah, having someone to hold you accountable, someone to push you to grow, it's incredible.
So I've got one last question for you today, Bongs. Do you consider yourself lucky?
I think blessed more than anything. Blessed to do what I do, blessed to have what I have, and to still be able to dream big. I think I'm blessed to be in a position that I can inspire. And again, I keep looking back at my story, and I can probably say to you, it's not scripted. Even saying all of these things, there's a lot of things running in my head. I don't know what's right to say, what's not right to say, but I know in time it'll all make sense. But the biggest part for me is just understanding that where I was born, it's where it all started. That's about it. It doesn't really reflect on where I'm gonna end up. That's been the biggest part that I've always driven in my head, that I've been born anywhere. that's the start of it, you know. And if I want to choose to take what that place has, take all that baggage, then I'm never gonna actually reach the heights that I need to reach, you know. So every single thing for me has got to start and vote, you know. That's the biggest part. But I'm enjoying more than anything that middle part. At the moment, I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying the learning. You know, I mean, the fielding coaching that I'm doing now is inverted commas, no mentors in this space. You know, you kind of like draw your own book. You have to find ways to inspire, innovative ways to do certain things, and that kind of speaks to who I am. So it's kind of worked out a little bit well for me, you know, compared to being a batting coach. It's tough. Being a bowling coach, tough. You know, fielding coach is also tough. You know, because I mean, I can actually hear some mamas behind after that final. If you're taking that catch, you know. It's the easiest bits, you know, but we forget all the other small stuff in between that happens, you know, the amount of dive stops that are there, all these other things that happen in between the big moments, you know. So for me, it's having actually teaching the understanding of what the skill is all about, you know. So I'm probably been in a fortunate place, in a really fortunate place to really drive something new with no boundaries into South African cricket, you know, and really try and grow it as far and as wide as possible.
Bongs, thanks so much for today. I think you're one of the most humble, selfless people I've ever met. And you hardly talk about yourself. It's always us or we or the team. And I hope that next time maybe we do another one. You're sitting here with a gold medal.
Oh, absolutely, Mike. I think I have to just take that portion off or give it to my wife so that she knows when I get home. Like, this is what you've made, son. Come on. But yeah, thank you very much for having me. I think, yeah, it is something that we already started thinking about, because we've obviously got the next World Cup in England in 8 months time. T20, different challenge again. So gonna require something different out of all of us again. So yeah, and the last couple of World Cups, it's now put a certain expectation, certain demand, certain sort of pressure, you know. So it's going to be interesting to see what we have in store for the country. But more than anything, I think over the next couple of weeks, it's going to be about me finding myself, me finding what do I need to bring to the side for the side to really get to that next level. But yeah, thank you for having me, and I'm hoping that this story kind of spark something for someone somewhere, and they can go off and one day be here talking about maybe 5 more gold medals.